It goes back to the three pillars that this is like the Pure Athlete was founded on. It's physical, mental, and relationships. And we always talk about how the relational side of those three pillars are very underrated and taught way too late. Everything from how to shake a hand, how to talk to people, how to be vulnerable, who do you have around you that can help you. It's a lot of times, especially from an athlete perspective and really in society, it's like for some reason, like we all fall into at some point in time, and most people stay here and don't know it, is we fall into this big game of competition.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's us versus the world. And it's like, it's really not. All right, welcome back to the Pure Playbook. Super excited for this one as we continue to bring healthcare services that parents can trust, start to fill the gap for student athletes. That's what this has been all about from the beginning, but this episode's going to be good. I'm Dr. Dustin Boston here with the athletic trainer herself, Erin Ruggieri, newly engaged. Heck yeah.
Don't worry, I'll still be Erin Ruggieri.
That's all we're going to talk about for that today. But we also have a special guest and now included in this whole world of vital performance and the Pure Athlete. Dr. Nate Merholt is with us, literally with us, not just as a guest. So we'll talk a little bit about that and introduce him a little more. And we're going to come at this pretty organically today and just kind of on the front end of our open house that's this week.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of things going there. So make sure you subscribe to not only this, leave us comments and feedbacks, but also to the social medias, the Pure Athlete or Vital Performance, both, all of our personals. Feel free to keep up with us on a personal level, but we're going to be posting a lot of pictures, a lot of fun stuff as we release a lot of cool things this week, including our app being one of them. We got a custom app built for our clients and our student athletes and their parents that we're going to be able to keep a whole lot of data and really be able to give excellent care as far as even a production standpoint, the system of how we're going to be able to organize things. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But super excited to have Dr. Nate here. Him and I actually graduated I guess you were 2016.
December, yeah.
You were December of 16, and then I was the next class, April of 17. So we've known each other for quite some time. And the opportunity came about, and I should let him tell the story, but I'm super excited for this one too. But he kind of sought us out and said, "Hey, see what you're doing. I'd like to have an opportunity with how things are transitioning in my space." So super grateful to have you. Why don't you just kind of give us a quick insight of where you're from, and then kind of what you're passionate about, as we've kind of included you in the Pure Athlete and in our private practice as well. Just kind of take us through what you're passionate about, and if you only saw just a few things, what would you be able to provide? What would you look at?
Yeah. So I grew up in Ohio, Canfield, Ohio to be specific. I was born in Pennsylvania, though, right across the border. A lot of my family's from the Pittsburgh area, so I tend to associate myself with Pittsburgh.
The 412.
Which is one of the draws that Dr. Dustin and I have something in common there. But so I went through school there, ended up doing my undergrad at Slippery Rock University.
Now I got to stop you real quick because we're going to make a St. Louis tie with Slippery Rock.
Exactly.
The great Matt Adams.
Matt Adams. I was actually at school during the time Matt Adams was there, so we kind of have that connection. And so anytime I'm at
they call him Big City
baseball game in
Big Country.
I'm wearing my Pittsburgh stuff at Busch Stadium, and people are like, Pirates. And I'm like, well, do you know Matt Adams? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I'm like, well, he went to Slippery Rock. That's where I did my undergrad, so we kind of make that connection.
That's cool.
Did exercise science was my undergrad, so that kind of got me into the whole sports aspect of things. Originally, my plan was to be a physical therapist. During that program, I actually dual majored in athletic training too, so Erin and I share a little bit of common.
I also was going to be a physical therapist, so we have that in common.
Ended up dropping the athletic training once I actually decided that I wanted to be a chiropractor.
Boo.
So through that program, we had to do some shadowing, and I decided that the chiropractic route was the route to go because I could do best of both worlds, the chiropractic and the rehab.
Best of all three.
Side. Yeah, actually, really.
Yeah.
I wear all three of those hats, basically with my degrees. Then went to Logan, met Dr. Dustin there through our program, did both the chiropractic program and the Masters of Sports Science and Rehabilitation at the same time. So I have that under my belt too, so that gives me a little bit extra, I guess you could say, knowledge base on the sports end of things, sports injuries. And then after graduating, did my CCSP, which is the Certified Chiropractic Sports Physician through the American Chiropractic Board of Sports Physicians. So just obviously different more letters that really don't mean that much, but look good on paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from that standpoint, I love sports injuries, which Aaron does as well. So we work well together with doing different analysis. We've already done a couple in the office here, a couple knees, ankles, which have been fun so far. Looking forward to get into a lot more shoulders, hips, those kind of things. I think we got a couple shoulders coming up here that we're working through. But Dr. Dustin asked me a little bit ago, what is one thing if you had to specialize in it, and I would probably say shoulders. It's a very complex joint, but I think that's what makes it exciting.
Right. It's a very vulnerable joint too. It's like one of the probably more common, more easily to injure, whether you're general clientele or athlete. It's like you have a lot of shoulders, and now, like you said, hips as well. Right. A lot of labrums, and really that's two very similar joints, ball and socket joints.
Yeah.
Upper extremity, lower extremity kind of act the same way. But yeah, so Aaron and I had always talked about from the very beginning, it's, as we were kind of brainstorming, okay, we know the pure athlete's going to be a thing. What are we trying to do? What are we trying to provide? And it took, I don't know, six months really to kind of figure out, okay, what's our one-liner? And we want you guys to know this too, is it's like, we want to give excellent healthcare resources to student athletes and their parents who are trying to keep up, and really bridge the gap of where the hell do I go? Who the hell do I trust? Yeah. You guys, for those of you that are consistent listeners, we thank you for that, but also you've heard us say that over and over again. So when we literally say we're seeking out providers, we're looking to partner with people from orthos to athletic trainers to physical therapists to chiropractors. It's like now adding Dr. Nate into the picture. I mean, you're really going to be a crucial asset to this because at the same time, it's kind of like in the medical world, you have spine surgeons, you have neurologists, you have heart doctors that either are on the surgery side or kind of the moderate care side. You have all these different specialties within a MD role. Right. It's no different than even in the chiropractic world. There's two different come-froms with both sides. We're not here to combat that, but we also have great resources in the same kind of mentality, same shape of what we're trying to do here. So adding somebody like yourself who loves the extremities. I enjoy the extremities. I'm very knowledgeable on it. And once I get into that mode, it's like, okay, then that's all I want to see. But having somebody who it's like, okay, boom, and we can sector it out. One, it just allows us to see more people faster, really, and be more accessible to a higher volume of people. But then it also allows us to be very specific with, okay, who's the best to take care of this person, this athlete, this parent right now? And we literally are starting to put everything in place, even in-house, to be able to say, great, here's what I'm great at. Here's who you're going to see for that. Yeah. You got a shoulder issue, Dr. Nate. You have a acute injury, you have athlete urgent care style. It's like, okay, maybe we start the AT route. But even the ATs that we have here do a lot of the treatment and can really help supplement us and people that we can trust, where as we do get busier and busier every week, we have at least the diagnostic side of it totally unlocked. So having a second doc in the office is huge for sure.
The collaboration part is big. You have all different backgrounds on, we have pretty good knowledge base just collaboratively. But if I'm looking at something, I say, hey, Dr. Dustin, I want you to look at this too. Yeah. See what he thinks. And usually we're on the same page. We did it a couple times already. But it's also nice to have another set of eyes, another background on how their training went, whether it's an athletic training background, chiropractic, different things like that. It definitely gives multiple avenues of treatment as well as diagnosis.
Right. And we even, as we sit here recording this right now, here in the next half hour, I mean, we have a physical therapist who's coming in the door to meet with us because he similarly, and I'm going to have you expand on this, similarly to what you did, he's done the same thing through friends that we have at another facility at the Elevate Golf Center, which is, if you guys haven't seen Elevate Golf Center here in Lake St. Louis or across the nation, you should see what these guys are doing and in the game of golf. But he's kind of partnered with them, and I have big relationships in who own that place, and they're like, dude, so they've connected us, and he's, we got a physical therapist who's going to be here shortly too that we're going to have a conversation with. But he did the same thing you did, which is where I was going with this. Kind of share with everybody as the transition of you coming over here, like you would literally just walked to our front door, essentially. I mean, you text me and say, hey, I want to meet with you. Walked on our front door and say, hey, I see what you're doing. What was it? Like, what all did you see that was like started to raise your eyebrow? Kind of take us through that, because I think from your perspective, this is what we're very passionate about, very biased, you know, and it's easy to see, but even from another provider, what were the things that you got your eyebrow raised and like, I think I might want to be a part of this?
Right. I mean, I think you've touched on this before, but the healthcare setting in general, people are looking for more, and they're not necessarily getting all the answers that they need. So, you know, I saw what you guys were putting together. I love the concept of providing the best possible care and having all the answers. And if you don't have all the answers, the right resources to put someone in the right direction on where they need to go based on their scenario. I saw that there were some things that I did myself from a skill set standpoint that I thought would be a good addition. So that was something we wanted to discuss to see if I was the right fit to be a part of this. In the setting that I was in previously, right out of school, I did a ton of the rehab stuff. You know, I would spend 30 minutes to an hour with a patient doing post-surgical rehab of a hip replacement, ACL repair, those kind of things. So that's potentially something that we're working towards providing for patients. And I thought that hey, if he's looking for someone to provide that or have a knowledge base and collaborate that way, whether it was me out of the office or just bringing me on board, that's the way that we would do it. So that was, the mindset is there, and the resources that you're providing are just, top notch, and what people are looking for. Yeah. So to be a part of something like that and help grow it as it's getting bigger and bigger in this community as well as other communities that hopefully we can get into. It's exciting being part of it now.
Yeah. Something I don't want to skip over is the relationship side of like kind of being vulnerable of like, hey, do you want to meet? Like that. Right. I think like I don't want to skip over that for our athletes listening, because that is it's so easy.
You and I were on the same page.
Yes, it's so easy to like from the sidelines maybe see like, oh, like I think I could be an asset, like, and have all these thoughts, but it's another thing to act on it. And so I don't want to skip over that life lesson for our athletes too.
Yeah, it goes back to the 3 pillars that this is like the Pure Athlete was founded on. It's physical, mental, and relationships. And we always talk about how the relational side of those 3 pillars are very underrated and taught way too late. Everything from how to shake a hand, how to talk to people, how to be vulnerable, who do you have around you that can help you. It's a lot of times, especially from an athlete perspective and really in society, it's like for some reason, like we all fall into at some point in time, and most people stay here and don't know it, is we fall into this big game of competition. Yeah. And it's like, it's us versus the world. And it's like, it's really not. It's like you need allies. You need people you can trust to get farther faster, to see people better. Because as you were saying too, like to have everything in one spot, the last thing people want is to go to urgent care or go to a facility where it's like, oh, we didn't really get any answers. We don't know what to do next, or they sent us over here and that wasn't it. Yeah. And it's like, so to provide, to start to bring in relationally, because we had a relationship before this, to be able to act on it. You never know. I mean, this was, dare I say, 10 years in the making, I mean, yeah, really. I mean, honestly, what, it was 2016. So 3 years before that. Yeah, I mean, exactly. This has been kind of almost 10 years in the making, where even just this relationship has come about. No different than when we brought you on. It was like, that was a talk we did for dancers. And a lot of people have been like, oh shit, I got an athletic trainer in the room. It's like, they probably think they know everything, and having that mindset isn't the way to go. But that was a big flip for me as far as, what are we passionate about? What hole can we fill? We're all in this together. Let's just figure out where we all stand, and are we a good fit? Yeah. And start doing things together so we can provide the community that has a gap from that 10 to 22-year-old range. Yeah. Right. And provide excellent healthcare resources for parents, for student athletes and their parents trying to keep up.
I mean, majority of our team now that we have expanded a little bit is all because of relationships. I mean, you guys, me and Tyler went to school together. Joe and I lived together. Like it's all important that you keep people in your corner who, if you need something and you are liking what they're doing, that you can join them. So I think that's cool that literally all of our team now is like intertwined.
Yeah.
When you guys moved over to this space, I think it was when I originally started following a little bit more, actually when it was the Vital Wire.
Yeah.
So starting to just listen. And so just a lot of things were resonating from that standpoint, whether it was related to practice, related to healthcare, or even just related to life in general. So a lot of that stuff that has been talked about and put out through the Vital Wire, and as well as the Pure Athlete podcast, the Pure Playbook, is just, meshed, and it just feels right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we might need to dig in the archives of the Vital Wire and maybe put those as some like extra episodes,
it.
because honestly, like, we get on soapboxes a little bit here. I mean, our number one core value, and everybody that has listened knows this, but for those of you that haven't, like, our number one core value is genuine. We're not going to be so off-putting. Being polarizing is a good thing, but it's not even so much being polarizing for the sake of the attention of being polarizing. Like, you have those figures out there that do a good job with it. I mean, Frisella, who's an awesome guy, pretty polarizing. But you get a lot of those guys, your Andrew Tates, and even, you have some women influencers too that are very polarizing, and that's cool. However, we don't want to be so we don't want to be so unrelational. I'm not saying they are, but we want to show that we're real people and that we are genuine. So I don't think I've been on a true soapbox like some of the Vital Wires that I've been on. Have been a lot more of not just mental, physical, and relationships, but it's just like even the thought process and empowering people and kind of jabbing the knife a little bit and then lifting them up through it and being a little more bold and hardcore in some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think just polarizing enough to where it's like, definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
And really opening people's eyes, because I guess my single word for myself is like, what do you pride yourself on that you do best, or what are you really trying to do? And it's perspectives. We all fall into a trap of how our mind works and our lack and victimizing and whatever it is. Even on the other side, the pride, the competitiveness, those kinds of things. It's like we all kind of showcase, communicate, and handle those things differently. But it's all about perspectives, and even in the Pure Athlete, it's like we do want to change the perspective and stereotype of what that looks like. And I don't think, there's plenty of collaborations. Oh, you see these medical buildings with all these different providers, and while that might look like collaboration, and it might be, I still don't think there's enough of it happening in really any industry.
Right.
So just trying to change the perspective on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we do have our open house this weekend, where our background has changed, and we've added, and you had talked about some of the rehab things that you enjoy doing, where I very much enjoy, okay, what's going on? How can I help you? Empowering somebody through that and building the value and showing you, like, whatever you have going on, chances are we can help you. And if we don't have everything we will need, we will find it.
Yeah.
We will get you where you need to be. But there's a lot of things we can do here, even to the point of adding some of the rehab things, whether it's post surgery, or even we talk about a lot the transition to athlete care rehab versus
Post-PT
just
care.
okay, this is what your ACL looks like.
Yeah.
This is what we have to bring you back to. Okay, you're good, go. But they're not taking account into that next performance phase of what that rehab actually looks like. So taking from just civilian status to, okay, athlete status that we see. I mean, we've got, I think I saw four athletes today that are leaving for college in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And heaven forbid one of them get injuries, that should look different. So being able to provide that here with the facility that we're creating, we're going to showcase that this weekend on site, which will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't think too many facilities are actually providing that, and they may be doing it in the form of like giving them a handout of homework exercises, or
Right?
worksheets, but really guiding them through that next step of, okay, yeah, you've reached like your pre-injury status from a medical standpoint, for lack of a better term, but getting them back to like the performance standpoint after an injury, because there's so many ways that the body will manipulate and create new movement patterns that you need to basically override neurologically to get them back to moving the way they did prior to the injury, or even better than prior to the injury. That, if there was a movement pattern that was creating the injury, let's correct that now, because now we have you in a rehab setting.
Right.
So making them better than what they were before the injury.
And we talk about this a lot too, just the mental block
Yeah.
of knowing I'm injured. They say I'm cleared, but I don't feel like
I don't feel cleared.
I did enough to prove to myself I didn't do enough of those actions during the rehab, which no fault to them. So
Yeah.
don't hear what we're not saying. They did their job to bring them back status quo to what the book says.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do this. You have this much range. You don't have these ortho tests are negative. Like there's no vulnerability for every day. But the athlete in the back of their head, whether they know it or not, it's like, but I still haven't done any I haven't put the ball on my foot and tried to cut across. I didn't do, I haven't ball rolled and then try to go the same but different direction.
Yeah.
And putting them through some of those vulnerabilities, but then how do you train those things specifically? And then also a part of what we do through that is it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And literally telling them what we're seeing and acknowledging the fact that you're probably going to feel hesitant, but here's how you overcome that. Notice how you're not doing this. Let that give you confidence. So how we speak to them through what we're building on that rehabilitation side is also huge, where it's just like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is why. This is what we're doing, this is why. Okay, 10, 9. And you're not getting that extra mental capacity or the mental speak and understanding of, okay, I need to be confident in myself. This is why. Physical, mental, relationships.
Right.
And so literally having all that in-house. And I'll be honest with you, like one of the things that I wish I could have done faster, like there's been bumps along the way. There's been some holes in the bucket as we've built this out. I'll be the first to say that because it's real hard. We found out really quickly, Aaron and I, and really the rest of the team, is it's like we have such a good thing here. And then it's just enough to where it's like we're trying to do it all and we're only 2 people.
Right.
Where there's probably a lot of things, and now we're doing it with athletes, and we've been honest with them, like, look, this is ever building. We were going to expand, that fell through, so now we changed our whole space, and we still did what we wanted to do with it, but that put us back 2.5 months,
Right.
and it's like, man, so we were kind of in a time of not meaning to overpromise and underdeliver, but in my heart, I knew it's like, man, we got to get this going because there's so much more we can do. That now having this team together, it's like, boom,
Yeah.
next step. Okay, we're doing this. We need to do this. Here's, boom, go to Aaron, go to Nate, go to Tyler, and Dr. Nate and I can really start to collaborate together to make sure they get everything they need. So it's so good not only to have another pair of eyes diagnostically, but even care given.
Yeah.
So just know that we're very real. We know we would have liked to have been farther faster, and it's taken a little longer than we've wanted to be on the care side. But come this weekend, I think a lot of people are going to see like, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Finally, they got it.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. I mean, it is exciting. There's going to be a lot of different things that we can offer now that aren't what we have been. And we have the capacity now to do the manual therapies and be able to be hands-on with people in this space and not clutter the adjusting area. So it's just going to be nice to have a dedicated space where, like, ideally that my feet never leave this beautiful speckled floor.
Right.
And we just have people using all of these things and taking the advantage of the knowledge that we would love to share with people.
And a lot of people are seeing a lot of the one-off things separately through whether influencers
Yeah.
or other social media or even through some of the research. And like you said, I think a lot of people are looking for, man, I've got to go here and here and here. It's like, is there anywhere we can just do it all at once? So some of the things that we can all kind of compile, because I'm coming off the top here with some of the things that not only are we adding, but okay, well then what do you guys provide? So let's just give you an insight of the things that we provide, because we're adding things like dry needling. We're adding things like the soft tissue work, whether it's Graston or iStem or the soft wave, the stem cell, the tissue regenerative therapy side of things. We have decompression, we have infrared sauna, we have cryo, we have a whole metabolic blood work paneling that we've created very specifically for student athletes and also their parents and general population, where this is 7 pages of blood work. You guys have heard us talk about that, proper supplementation, the nutrition game, not only just like how do you do that as an athlete, but off season, pre-game, post-game, long weekends, back-to-back games, like so nutrition programs are coming. Very specific personal training side of things, the rehab, and if somebody unfortunately knows that they do have to have a surgery and maybe it's a rotator cuff that's not too detrimental, but it needs surgery and that maybe they got pushed off 6 or 8 weeks, what can we do beforehand to make that go well? And then what do we do post, and then what do we do performance post, surgery rehab to get them back into the performance game? So literally, whether it's active care, whether it's athlete care or proper recovery. We've got athletes hanging out in here doing Normatec compression therapy, doing cryo, doing infrared. While there's medical advantages to that, there's also the other column of recovery. And it's like, we're going to have that all in-house.
Yeah.
Those are all things that already are here. Taping, K-tape, and literally specific programs where it's like, okay, the chiropractic side, structural neurological correction, we have films, we've got our urgent care services that we're providing now. I did one Saturday for an elbow. So it's like literally on the urgent care side, let me just pitch this right now. If you're in our area, we are providing athlete urgent care services here on site, because we can, if nothing else, I don't care if it's a fracture. If you think it's fractured, potential collarbone, you don't want to go here, there, or whatever because of the bad rap you've had before, bad experience before, even if it is fractured, it's like, well, what are you going to do? You're a chiropractic office. You can't do anything with that. Well, but what if we confirm, show you, send you with what you need to the exact spot you need to go versus going here, and then that person sent you here, and then you got to play this circle game. It's like, boom, done. Because that's what we do. That's what we deal with every day.
Even the education part of it, if someone comes in with a fracture, we can educate them on what that means, what your recovery time looks like, what kind of rehab, what type of treatment, so that they can go to the place that we're sending them to and have the right questions to ask that facility too.
And trust that, okay, well, obviously, if this is what they do, they must trust these people enough to deal with this.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the people that we have sent you to have talked the same. It's like, oh, yeah, they did tell me that over there. And then it's like, is that stuff we can do here? Yes, you can do that here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a facility and as we're rolling all these things out Saturday, we haven't even talked about the app yet, but those are most of the things that we can do, not limited to, and we're always listening too. And so what I really like to get back is feedback from anybody who's listening. Or so if you're listening to this, or if you have questions, or be like, I've heard you said this, but do you provide this? We're open to that. And if we don't, we'll say that's not something we do, but it might also spike the interest of like, oh, I don't know why we haven't yet. We've just been, all of those other things we've listed, we're lining out.
Right.
But maybe that is something we can provide. So if you're looking for it, if there's something specific, we're trying to make it as easy as possible and somewhat of a one-stop shop. So fire away.
Yeah, and I think just to be clear, it's the rehab and the therapeutic exercises, I've kind of been calling it, is things that we can do in-house now. Yeah. Now we have the equipment, we have the room to do it. So before, when we were giving things, it was just like the take-home homework. But now, for the accountability aspect, and just I don't like to give people things I don't know if they're going to do them correctly.
Right.
And so, now we can be able to walk them through things. We can actually be hands-on and correct, and you're accountable if you missed it. Hey, where are you at? So that is in-house now.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the big things I would see is, someone squatting all the time. They think they know how to squat, which they might. But if we take a look at it and break it down, there's different things that we're seeing that is either leading to the injury, contributing to it, or hindering them from getting them to where they need to be, whether it's strength standpoint, performance standpoint, that kind of thing. So having those eyes and actually breaking it down and say, this is how we want you to do the movement properly, even though if you know what a bicep curl is, you know what a squat is, those kind of things, let's kind of take you through it a little bit more and break it down, because everybody is also individualized. So there's different ways to do certain things based on the body type and the structure of the joint. And we want to look at that and assess it that way and provide you personalized care as well as personalized exercises, not just the print off that everybody gets because you come in with shoulder pain.
Right. And the athletes who do our peer athlete evaluation, they're going to get like data-driven training basically, and the data is going to drive what we need to do. So then there is no guessing of, oh, you would just have like back pain. Here you go. It's like, okay, well, on your AMI results, this is what we're going to focus on first. So then it's data-driven. There is no guessing happening.
Right. Yeah, no, that's really the goal. I think everybody has kind of fallen accustomed to, and it's been real easy in healthcare where it's like, oh, you have this, let's go, yep, okay, these 5 things, okay, yep, did those 5 things, now do these 3 things, and that's it. It's like it's an algorithm. And I think it needs to be more dynamic than that, which is exactly what we're doing. So there's a lot to what we're all able to provide. So I'm excited to hard launch this, because now with the app coming out,
Yeah.
which is on the App Store. So if you search the Pure Athlete and you see it's purple, you can't miss it. It's black and purple, like everything else in this office, including our mics. But it will, for people who are clients here and even remote clients, there's going to be access to be able to get into that app, and we can really start to organize those things. So if we have, and we talked about this on the last episode too, but specific athletes we're gonna be able to put specific exercises that we have in there for them. If they're remote, we can do video calls and show them and analyze them, even telehealth wise, right? Even on camera, and show you, okay, see this, let's watch that. We can take a recording of that. We can then play it back and show them. But in the app, we're going to be able to have it all organized, where then people, it's like, well, I want to do this nutrition thing, or I want to do the blood work, and then take it into the nutrition, the meal planning, meal prep. What's that look like? It's all going to be in there. So then it's at the touch of their fingers, and we can also, another just accountability step to fill not only the holes in the buckets, but provide the modern things that make things easy and build value for what it is we're doing here. And it's all at the tip of your fingertips.
Yep.
What else we got in there? Give us
so
a little
many.
app rundown. What are you most excited about with what's rolling out with the app?
I'm most excited about, honestly, like depending on what like membership plan you have, the two-way chat with your person you're assigned to is what I'm most excited for, because I think so much we give, or we have gotten generic things like we're talking about, and they don't work for you, but you have no way to tell anyone they're not working for you. You have no one to ask for questions. You have no one to say like, hey, can you hop on a call for 5 seconds? Like, I don't know how to do this exercise. And so you're going to have the capacity to have us at your fingertips too. And I'm also excited for that, just because I love the like relationship building of it all. And so like having them enter our circle through that, I think is going to make it even a better experience, because if you're having a more like positive relationship with whoever you're working with, you're going to want to do those things more. You're going to heal better. You're going to feel better about everything that we're asking you to do. It's not just a stranger.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'll take it to the honest part of, okay, well, what are you really doing this for? Like some people, like me, I'd be like, okay, so what's the end game? Like, what are you trying to walk me through? I'll just call it out right now. Like, let's just take you up the ladder, because the app is also going to be a way for people to engage with us and vet us, do their homework on us. Do we like them? Am I a good fit for them?
Yeah.
Like, do I believe what they're saying? What all are they putting out there? Do I feel this is a good fit for me? Yes, because ultimately the end game, the platform for this is the lifestyle, not only as an athlete, but we talk about life after sport. And it's like those, a few weeks ago when we had the high school group here, or when I do talks in front of adults and parents of student athletes, or just general population, I always ask them, I was like, who all here by a raise of hands loves where our healthcare system is going?
Right.
Raise your hand. And nobody raises their hands. And the next question is it's like, raise your hand if we're getting more healthy over time or sicker, whether it's us or our children.
Right.
If you think we're getting more healthy, raise your hand. And nobody raises their hands. So ultimately, this gives you guys, the interaction with us very easily to be like, okay. And then next rung of the ladder. Okay, well, I see you do this. Like, ask us those things.
Right.
We're not going to be the pushy, put you in a corner, make you decide something. But I love that about the app, because at the same time, we want to take care of people who are committed to themselves, but the end game goal is, it's like, how do we get you to understand, and how do we build healthier generations? We have to teach them differently. So changing the stereotype of what a healthy lifestyle looks like. And I think a lot of people say this all the time in here when they start care. It's like, man, I was really worried. I didn't think it was going to work. And that's just from a chiropractic perspective.
Right.
But now we have all of these things. It's like, yeah, well, I have to go to PT. I'm not really excited. Why aren't you excited about it? Like, why? Well, because at the end of the day, it's like, well, I don't know these people. I've been there before, and I don't know where else to go because they told me I have to go here. And it's just like, there's all that whole dynamic. So if we change the perspective of what your options are, we could be a very good fit, and the app leads them into that. And depending on what tier of the app they go into, or what style of care they're in here, depends on what they get access to. And then we've already had people say, I don't care what you put on there, like, I want it all.
Yeah.
So there's so many things where it will be sectored out. There will be different price points, but you're going to see exactly why and what all you get access to, which is going to also make it easier for us to be like, okay, now we can go in here. There's just, the whole dynamic is going to be awesome. So I'm excited for everybody to see it Saturday and start putting out more content on it.
Yep.
Well, without further ado, we'll make this one quick. just a little glimpse into what's coming this Saturday, a little introduction to Dr. Nate. And we are going to hop to our next meeting, which is going to be super awesome. So hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will be Doc Throttling Friday. I will be racing.
Dr. Throttle Friday, Dr. Dustin Saturday.
I've been urged and inspired and told to make sure everybody knows that Doc Throttle is on Instagram, Doc Throttle 33. You'll get a good glimpse into the racing world and what we're building on that side, which is great. A lot of drivers starting to get adjusted and a lot of messages I'm getting randomly. So again, just changing the perspective and just utilizing what we have in the platform we're building to do cool things in cool sectors. We've got dance in-house now. We've got racing in-house. We've got about every sport you can think of. Chances are we've got a connection to it, which is super cool. So hope you guys have a great rest of your week. See ya.